Hello everyone and welcome back to Walksport. Now I know it's been a while, but yeah, I've had a lot of stuff going on. I was on holiday and then I was ill and I was getting back to school, so yeah, a lot going on, and I'm sorry that I've been posting, but hopefully I'm gonna try to get back into weekly posts, usually on the weekend, but yeah, we'll see. Today, because it's been so long, I think I'm just going to do a recap. Because there's been so much that's gone on, and yeah, let's just go straight into it. First, I'm just going to talk about the Premier League, because the biggest league in the world, you got to start with it, and there have been some crazy performances so far this season. We've got Bournemouth in second place in the table, Sunderland in that top 5, Leeds are getting up there. Like, some of this is absolutely mental, and it's actually crazy to see, but it's also nice to see the fact that it's not always Man City, Liverpool, Arsenal, Chelsea, Tottenham, United, Big Six, they're not always up there. In fact, even from last season, you've got Aston Villa, Nottingham Forest and Newcastle all just above relegation. I think they're 15th, 16th and 17th, which is bonkers because Forest didn't even lose any of their players other than Elanga. And they recruited well. They got Ndoye, they signed Zinchenko, they got loads of other great players that they signed. And I know they got rid of their manager, but And is not necessarily a bad guy to bring in. So the fact that they've been doing so poorly is really bizarre. Newcastle obviously spent so long trying to find a striker. Looks like Voldemort has been fitting in nicely there. Scored against Arsenal, scored against Union Saint-Gilloise in the Champions League, and he also scored in his debut against Wolves, I think. So very, very promising for Newcastle in terms of a replacement for Isak, but I mean, they haven't really lived up to their billing yet. But yeah, obviously the big talking point is Liverpool and Arsenal. Who's going to win the league? Who's going to be battling? Now, start of the season, I mean, it couldn't look like Liverpool were just going to be undefeated. Like, getting last minute wins from literally nowhere. Everyone's saying they're champions, but I mean, it looks like their performances are the results are starting to catch up with their performances, because losing to Palace, not necessarily a bad result. They're a brilliant team, still unbeaten. But then losing to Galatasaray, not a bad result. You get maybe a penalty, maybe not. It can give you 50-50 penalty. But then the fact that the performance after the goal was so poor, because Liverpool were dominating. They had 4 brilliant chances. Vert had one saved. You had Gakpo had one cleared off the line. But there was nothing else. Absolutely nothing after that goal. And it all comes from the lack of pressing. Now, I don't really know what's happened there. Maybe it's Diaz and Nunez, 2 of our best runners, I guess, just not being there to press from the front. But it's leaving our defence a lot more exposed, and that is being very, very clearly shown in our 2 new fullbacks. Now, personally, I don't have too bad of a word to say about them, but the fact that they're being so exposed is not helping them settle in as best as they would like. And also Konate. Probably Liverpool's the worst player of the season so far. And that's kind of crazy considering, thinking back to last season, and he might have been one of our best. Other than Van Dijk and Gravenberch and Salah, who all have brilliant seasons, Konate was just, he was our Mr. Consistent. Just absolutely, 8 out of 10 performance every week. He was incredible, but maybe his head's been turned, maybe he's a bit shaky because he's got 2 new fullbacks, he's got different people in front of him now that Alistair's injured. Groundberg's injured at the start of the season. Just a lot going on in his head, I think, and disappointing that Leone's out, but even more disappointing that we didn't get away, because he would have been an excellent guy to bring in when Ibu Konate is not having the best of games. But yeah, so we've got that. We've got Florian Wirtz, obviously not really settling in, but I have the feeling he'll come good. You think he's too good of a player, and we wouldn't have spent that much money. Liverpool never do. We wouldn't have spent that much money on a player who we only think is proven in the Bundesliga. Because obviously not really as high profile of a league as the Prem, but still relatively physical. If you look at the teams like Bayern, you got players like Kimmich, Tah, like they're a physical team, and he dealt with that very well. But so far it's kind of been like he's just always got a player in front of him, and I think he's very unlucky with that. And I think against Chelsea today, I think he will have a little bit more space, because Caicedo will probably be more preoccupied, with the securing the defence, because they've got so many players out injured. They've got Colwill injured. They've got Fofana kind of just coming back in. Actually, Ampong's so young. They've got a very shaky defence, and I think I think Caicedo will be busier with trying to protect that defence than getting in front of Wirtz's every last move. So I think they'll have a little bit more space. I think Isak will play, although Ekitiké's been in training. I think there's no point risking Ekitike, who's probably been our best player this season, or our best signing anyway, and no point risking him when we've got Alexander Isak, we paid around £125 million for, and no, he's not going to be then bring Ekitike on half an hour to go. Like, what's the point in risking Ekitike? We draw by the time he is leaving on. Not that's it for this bit, and I'm going to talk about Arsenal. Okay, so now let's talk about Arsenal. Now, defensively, absolutely solid. I think they've conceded 3 goals in all competitions, and that's credit to them. They've had Saliba out for a bit. They've had Gabriel out for a bit. It's not like they haven't had their injury problems at the back, but Calafiori has stepped up absolutely magnificently. Not only defensively, but also going forward. He's added goals to his game. Obviously, the way Arsenal get the job done, but fair play to them, they've figured it out. It's to defend, and counter-attack with set pieces, free kicks, corners, even the long throws seem to be way more than they did a couple of seasons ago. Scored their last one against Liverpool in the 98th minute from a long throw. But yeah, so credit to Arsenal. I think they've been the team that I think they're going to win the league in terms of performances, not in terms of results. Drawing to City is not a bad result, but beating them would have been so much more. Their fans are back, I wouldn't tell you that, because they were just sitting back even when they were 1-0 down. And obviously Martinelli, what a goal, beautiful chip over Donnarumma, who was absolutely massive, by the way. Yeah, fair play to Arsenal. I think they've been the team with the best performances. The only performance that I've seen Liverpool, and I've been like, wow, what performance to deserve that result, has to be against Arsenal. And then credit to Liverpool, where there because they beat Arsenal 1-0. Still, it's a great performance for them because defensively they were actually brilliant. Kirkus had behind he was incredible. He was getting in the way of everything. Madueke just beat him, and then suddenly he was going off the corner. It's just like, that's what I'm saying. The crosses. I don't know if we actually did, because considering it's on I think Slot would have rather had Frimpong go up and turn that back line into a back three in attack. Kirkus can then push up, but I think defensively he was so much. I watched some highlights of him before he started. He was so much better defensively in this club than going forward. Like, he put a dangerous ball into the box, don't get me wrong, but I guess we wanted another Robertson, but we didn't lost Robertson, so I don't really think that that's the case because he got 3 assists last season. Near the Trent and the Robertson numbers, so I think that Slot bringing in a more creative attacking midfielder like Vert and taking out a player like Szoboszlai, a bit of a work engine, a player that will run the whole game. Taking them out means that you have a little bit less going forward because you've now got one player who's not going to be doing the pressing and the running. So that's why I think Kirkus was brought in. Especially as we had the option to sign Anthony Robinson. We could have easily gone in for him. He would have been a much better option going forward, in my opinion. I love Kirkus, but I think going forward, Anthony Robinson would have been the best fit for us. Obviously, a bit old. I think he's 26 or 28 now. Kirkus is around 23. 21 to 23, so older obviously, but as in, I think that all this talk about Kirkus not doing the stuff attackingly, I think that's not really what he's brought in for. I think it was a lovely added bonus that he could get forward and he could put in a mean cross and, Ekitike or Isak get his head on it, but personally I don't think that's what he was brought in for. Okay, so now I'm going to talk about the Champions League, the world's competition, or Europe's competition, and it has been off to a flying start already. We obviously have had Liverpool, Atletico Madrid, brilliant game. Liverpool went 2-0 up, looked to be their best performance, and then they just fumbled the 2-goal lead, and it was 2 before you knew it. Obviously saved by captain Virgil van Dijk, but that was where we started to think this is not the Liverpool team we thought we were going to see this season, especially the amount of money that they spent. But so we had that game, Juventus Dortmund. Oh my days, what a game. I was watching it, and some of the goals in that game, we had the Mecca, we had Yildiz, then we had the comeback from, I think it was 4-2 down to make it 4-all. It was absolutely incredible. But yeah, we've had Real Madrid v Kairat Almaty, the furthest distance that team would have to travel in the UCL ever in the European Cup. So because they're obviously a Kazakhstan team, and Real Madrid from Spain obviously, and Mbappe, what a performance, hat-trick, 2 brilliant goals, obviously one of them, the other 2 brilliant, and you've got to give him a shout for Ballon d'Or. But then the other player that I'd say could sneak into that top 2, maybe even the winner this year, I know it's very early, but it's Haaland. Like, he has been absolutely impeccable. People were criticising him last season for not getting the goals when City were bad, but I think it's the fact that he's a goal scorer. He's not going to pick the ball up dribble past 5 players and stick it in the top corner when you're 2-1 down. He's a player that, if you get Marmoush or Foden or Doku, who's had a brilliant season after all of his critics, but yeah, if you get them on the ball and then you dribble it forward, you give it to Haaland, he will provide you goals. We've seen that. He scored 2 against United, he scored 1 against Arsenal, he scored 9 in the Premier League already, and they've got Brentford away tomorrow, so I can't see him not scoring again. And if Mbappe drops off, I think that could be his chance to be in a shout with the Ballon d'Or, because obviously when you say he's robbed in 2023, I'd say it was a bit disgraceful that he didn't win it, considering he won the second treble that any Premier League club has ever won, any British club has ever won. He has scored the most goals in the Premier League history. I think he got 54 in all competitions, and he didn't win it. Now that is a bit outrageous, but then it's just kind of, you can't really put it past Messi that it was his last World Cup. We'll see if he plays in 2026, but it was technically his last World Cup, and he absolutely balled out. Like, he didn't put a foot wrong in that whole competition. Their only loss was against Saudi Arabia, and obviously they just threw everything at that game. Everyone had written Argentina off, but Messi was just absolutely flawless in every game that Argentina played. And I watched all Argentina games because I knew that they would be the teams to watch. England, obviously, who I support, are just not good enough. So, yeah, disappointing really. But then we've got the World Cup coming up in 2026, and that could definitely change everything, because if Norway don't make it, which I assume they do before that, like, there's some ridiculous amount of teams, and you know, you've got Uzbekistan and you've got the UAE in it. If Norway don't make it, that would be outrageous, obviously, in a bit more difficult of a qualifying group in terms of Europe. But I think if Norway don't make it, and Mbappe and Haaland both have Ballon d'Or seasons, I think as long as Mbappe performs relatively decently, I think he will win the Ballon d'Or. You know, if France win the World Cup, no other player, even if Mbappe had a little bit of a fall off, you know, maybe scored 25 goals, but then he went and scored 6 goals in the World Cup and won it, you wouldn't be annoyed if Mbappe went on to win the Ballon d'Or, because in my opinion he's been the best youngster that we've seen that's actually lived up to the hype, in my opinion, because realistically he never had a moment where people said he fell off until he went to Real Madrid. Obviously big stuff, and maybe he didn't start his Real Madrid career as he would have liked to, but then he went and won the European Golden Boot. So, like, he's had his haters because he's the only player that everyone's been like, oh, he'll be the next big thing, that has actually become the next big thing. He's the only one. Lamine might be the next, but you can name me any player, like Rodrigo, who's supposed to be the next big thing, doesn't even start for them anymore. You've got players like, Ansu Fati did not make it at Barcelona. So yeah, I think it's been a brilliant UCL, brilliant Prem so far, and I'm looking forward to the games today. We've got Chelsea, Liverpool. Chelsea, Liverpool, and then Brentford City on the so we'll see what happens with the result, but looking forward to it, and I'm sorry for being gone so long, but I will hopefully be posting another one, so yeah, I will see you then. and I'll probably be doing a match report for the Liverpool game, and hopefully for the Brentford City game, but we'll see. So yeah, thank you very much for watching, and go check out my match reports at walksportmatchreports.blogspot.com. Thank you very much. Goodbye.